Welcome to day 2 of our intentional inductive study through the Bible together as a community. We're glad that you're here with us. This is People of the Free Gift, where we ground believers in their identity in Christ and equip them to reach those caught in religion. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button anytime during this video, and you will be notified when we make new content and new videos, which obviously is going to be every single day. And if you're new to this journey, you can go ahead and I'm going to put in the cards a link to our first video, which was yesterday, so you're not too far behind. You can go ahead and start from the beginning. And so let's go ahead and jump right in. Yesterday's assignment, day 1, read Genesis 1 and in distinctive ways and colors mark each occurrence of the following 2 phrases. Then God said, and there was evening, and there was morning, and know what was created, how it was created, and when it was created, and then create a chapter theme. And so let's go ahead and jump in. What did I find yesterday as I did this assignment? So we have before day 1, it talks about God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And so the big takeaway from that is Genesis 1:1. God created the heavens and the earth. If you got that down, then all the rest is really just peripheral semantics that we can discuss. It's important, but it's not core. And that's important to remember as we get into discussions with each other and as we share our thoughts and our ideas with each other as we go through the scripture. And so you can see, and even in verse 2, some would say the earth became formless and void, and that what you have in the days subsequent is a new creation. And some would say, no, you have a general description, then you have more specific day-by-day descriptions. Some would say that the days in Genesis are not 24-hour days, and that they're more just periods of time. But what we find in here, day 1, is let there be light. That's what God said. And God divided the light from the darkness. He called the light day and the darkness night, and it was good. And so you have the first time that God has spoken, and you have the first time in which God's declared something good. And those are important because, and then you have this phrase, and it was evening, and it was morning, day 1. And that's a formula that's carried out through this chapter in Genesis. And some have noted that while day does have a range of meanings, it's not common. In fact, pretty unlikely that you would have somebody say it was evening and it was morning, it's day 1 or day 2, and that they would mean anything other than 24-hour days. The other issue to keep in mind, and this comes in later, Exodus 20, when God's given the 10 Commandments, when he gives the command for the Sabbath, what he said is, for in 6 days I created the heavens and the earth, and I rested on the 7th day. So shall you work 6 days and then rest 7 days. And so it's hard to get, periods of time, like 6 periods of time I created the earth, and so on the 7th period of time I rested. So you work for 24-hour days and then rest on the 7th 24-hour period. The second thing that's important here is it says that God said it was good. God declares goodness. This is a pattern that starts right here in Genesis 1, and it's important for the gospel. You don't become good. You are declared good by God. Jesus said there's good trees, there's bad trees. A bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree bears good fruit. The way that you become good is if God declares you good. So going on to day 2, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, dividing waters from waters. And then God divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters above the firmament, and God called the firmament heaven. And so some would even say that there was water, there used to be waters in the heavens that are divided from the waters here on earth. And God called the firmament heaven. You need to understand that heaven in the Hebrew and the Greek is both, there's multiple layers of heaven. The word actually is plural, shemayim in the Hebrew. And so you have multiple layers of heaven. And that doesn't mean that there's multiple like kingdoms of heaven. That means that the immediate, where you see like the birds and the clouds, that would be the first heaven. Then the second heaven, where the planets and the stars and the sun are located, that would be the second heaven. And the third heaven, 2 Corinthians 12, clarifies the third heaven is where the throne of God is. And where we typically, when we say heaven, that's the heaven that we're thinking of. But in Genesis 1, it's not saying like from heaven, like if you look up, you can see heaven, and this is what happened there compared to here. It's saying that that in the atmosphere, that there was waters that were separated from the waters. And then you go into day 3, let the waters under heaven be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear. Let God call the dry land earth, and God called the gathering together of the waters seas. Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind. And this is another important thing, that God in this chapter, and then when we get to the flood narrative, this is going to be important, this idea of kind, that it was only one or two of each kind, or 7 of each kind on the ark, and that it's the kinds that reproduce. So in the plant kingdom, in the animal kingdom, in the human race, okay, we are reproducing after our kind. And so it's not getting down to the species level, and that you can't intermarry species or interbreed species. It's going after the kind level, okay? And again, he says it was good. Day 4, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years. Let them be lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the days, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars. God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And so you got the physical light and darkness, but you also have the metaphorical light and darkness that's alluded to here. And some would object to the 24-hour day, because here you got, the sun and the moon and the stars, which are given for days and nights and years and these signs, and you don't have that until day 4. And I don't know if that necessarily negates what I said earlier, but I'll leave that up to you, and we can talk about it in the comments down below, or maybe if you ask a question, we can get into that with the Q&A, weekly Q&A. And he says it was good. Okay. Day 5, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. God created the whales and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after its kind. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And it was good. And so you've got, the animals, and you got sea creatures, and you got land creatures. And notice they're in the same day, and so that could kind of throw a shoe, a rock in the shoe of evolution. But you got day 6. And let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind. God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and every thing that creeps upon the earth after his kind. And it was good. And let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing. God created man in his image, male and female. God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over it. Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, every tree for meat, and every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and everything that creeps upon the earth wherein there is life. I have given every green herb for meat. God saw everything that he had made, and it was very good. And so you have it's good up until the point in which he creates humans, and then he says it is very good. And he created man and woman in his likeness, in his image, and we are unique amongst the creation. This is the pinnacle of the creation. And some would argue that Genesis 1 isn't scientific, it's just poetic, and that it's all leading up to the culmination of the creation of humanity, which is in the image of God and given dominion over the creation itself. And that men and women, he's blessed them. He says, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over it. And notice that it was originally a vegetarian diet that God ordained. And we can get into that deeper, or if you have specific questions about that, you can feel free to ask those as well. And so that is a recap of day 1. I'm interested to see if you are here, if you guys came up with different conclusions on that. And then tomorrow's assignment is this. Day 2, carefully read Genesis 2. And again, this will be in the description down below, so don't make a mad rush for the pen. Carefully read Genesis 2. And what does it say about men? What does it say about women? And what does it say about the relationship of man and woman? Read Matthew 19:3-9 as well, and as it is an excellent cross-reference, and note how it relates to Genesis 2. And so we're going to be getting into that tomorrow and tomorrow's video. And so don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it with other people who want to get into the Bible and understand the Bible for themselves and who want to be a part of this community. And until next time, may God be with you.